So what do you think about that thing?
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is a gorgeous bird. I've never owned one, but this is one of the very first birds that ever caught my eye.
Right.
When I started collecting.
And you've been collecting 40 years or so, haven't you?
Yes,
You've been
sir.
at this for a long time.
Yes, sir. And this strikes me as just, to me, I love the folky look,
Yep.
the lines. It is just, and most people refer to this bird as the prettiest canvasback from Knott's Island area.
Or anywhere in the United States.
Anywhere.
It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yep. But that was used at the Pocahontas Fowling Club. Has the glass taxidermy eyes. There's no brand on it because he made it for the club.
Yeah, most of them were stamped.
Yeah.
For he used those in his rig for Dudley Island Hunt Club.
That's exactly right.
And,
Yeah.
There's no comparison though.
Yep.
But that's a nice gift. Thank you.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. We crabbed, I did fishing. I was gonna try to make a life out of commercial fishing, and then they shut a fishery down and it scared me bad. So I had all these folks that were working with me that were firemen and policemen, and they had been telling me, Chris, you ought to look into the fire department. So in 1997, that's what I did. And 25 years later, here I am at the end of that career, coming back to the water full time. And along the way, we got into growing oysters and farming oysters, and the rest is history. Basically, I shuck like my granddad did. I was taught by him and my father, and they shucked like traditional shuckers and the African American shuckers, and that is to come in at the 1 or 2 o'clock position. You'll see a lot of folks these days, young people are hen shuckers.
That's right.
And I don't hen shuck. I want to come in here and I just find a purchase point. My knife is sharp. Once I'm in, then I sweep to cut the adductor muscle. We cut the adductor muscle. And then pull that open. We want to pretty it up a little bit. Get that, I got a little bit of blade in there, nice and pretty. And then we're ready. So I think the best thing to do is to have the first oyster naked. The oyster, not us. But we're going to have it without any accoutrements on it so we can really taste it. Our palate, we have a virgin palate. We haven't eaten anything, we haven't had any wine yet. So we'll each have an oyster. And do a proper tasting. We want to smell the bouquet, just like a wine. We hijacked or plagiarized, and you can smell it. We're surrounded by it. Then the oyster, you smell the marsh, you smell the brine. Okay, so that's the first flavor. Second one, we're going to say sip the liquor, the oyster juice. And that gives us an indication of the salinity, how the oyster is going to be. Okay, now when we take the oyster, now we're going to tip it back and we're going to chew through it. 3 flavors there: the front, the body, and the finish. Okay, so now we're at 5 here in a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it.
Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great.
The front is a little salty. Then in the body, you're getting that adductor muscle, that real chewy part.
Yep.
It's like a cucumbery feel.
Yep.
And in the finish, on the back of the palate, nothing like an oyster. There's all these things, oh, what does it taste like? What might it taste like? Oh, it tastes like chicken. The oyster is unique in its flavor. Nothing else tastes like it. So that's that finish. Now, when we have our wine or our champagne, the 6th and final flavor is the marriage of the oyster and the beverage. So that's on the back of the palate. So we're gonna experience that in a minute. Cheers.
Yes, we are. Cheers. Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Good stuff.
My friend Bob Timberlake said, if God made anything better than an oyster, then he kept it for himself.
Wow.
And
That's good stuff.
yeah. So we have a nice Sancerre. It's a French wine, Sauvignon Blanc type varietal, but has a good, strong mineral taste, and it goes perfectly with an oyster. There's probably not a better wine to be paired with an oyster.
So yeah, thanks for coming to the Lynnhaven River,
Man,
Rob.
thank you for having us. This
Yeah.
has blown us away. This is great.
Good. You know, as you know, this is a lot of history in this area. The great part about this area was there was steamship service, there was rail service, and you know, the area was discovered, you know, during the Civil War, and the Northerners came back after the war because they saw all the great fishing and hunting.
Yep.
They used the steamships, the rail lines to get here, and then they got on horse-drawn carts and went down the beach and got to the clubs in Back Bay, clubs that they built. The Pocahontas Fowling Club being one of them.
Morse Point Club, another one. Yep.
Barber's Hill.
Yep.
You know, the Horn Point Club. So these clubs catered to a very exclusive clientele. You know, they sampled local, you know, fish and fowl. And the decoys, the local guides, you know, started making their own decoys. And
Yeah, a lot of decoys came from the north, and then they would find out who could carve some of the better decoys in the area, like a Lee Dudley, Bob Morse, and they would order decoys from those guys.
wow. So I guess a lot of those clubs we mentioned, they had stands probably with a lot of Dudley decoys in them.
Oh yeah, and a lot, you know, a ton of them got burned up in wood stoves during the wintertime. Hear those stories
Amazing.
all the time.
Yeah, they were tools, I guess, right?
No doubt.
It made them, you know, because I guess it was easier for them to make them. They had plenty of wood locally, and
Yeah, but you know, back then there were a few guys that would do something a little extra. They would, you know, put a little extra into it. Lee Dudley, James Best, Alvira Wright. Those guys, they didn't just make a duck. They went the extra mile. They wanted to express themselves through the decoy that they created, and now they're just treasured works of art. You know, collected by folk art collectors, fine art collectors, bird watchers. It's just, the list goes on and on.
amazing. Gentleman Eugene Conant decided he wanted to put a book together talking about the great duck hunting in the United States, especially along the East Coast and in the South. And he knew he didn't want to write it all himself because he hadn't been to a lot of these places. And he had been to many, but he knew people who really hunted a lot in these general regions. And so he asked them to write different chapters. And so there's chapters in this book about New Brunswick, Merry Meeting Bay, Cape Cod, Long Island Sound, Barnegat Bay. And then there's an actual chapter on Chesapeake Bay, Eastern Shore. And then there's a chapter on Back Bay. And that was written by Mr. Barber of the Barber Hill Hunt Club. But the thing about it is, he talks about the life, again, the lifestyle and how they ate at the club. And I'm just going to read you real quick about the meal that they had after a day of shooting, a day of wing shooting on Back Bay. Dinner was indeed a gastronomic hurly-burly. Lynnhaven Bay oysters were forthcoming as a matter of course. Perhaps some side bets would be made on the number of oyster crabs that might be found ensconced in their hosts. Before their virtual disappearance, a dish of terrapin might brighten the occasion. With the terrapin now about gone, perhaps a 6 or 8 pound rockfish, taken offshore the same day with drag seine, would put in an appearance. This, together with a roast duck apiece, with a side dish of collards and sweet potatoes, would almost forestall any keen inquiry in the matter of dessert. If some member would be so kindly as to furnish a bottle or two of Burgundy, so much the better. And then they go on, again we repair to the living room. After a somewhat labored bit of chit-chat on the day's sport, we are off to bed. I mean,
Love it.
That's their lifestyle right there. You know what I mean?
So the duck hunting in the clubs back in the day, it was for the well-heeled, typically the well-heeled industrialists from New York, from Boston, and they would come down here and live it up. It was quite the thing.
Man, that is amazing. That is incredible. It's everything I thought it would be and more. Golly. The feet and the tail, and gosh. I just can't imagine, 50 of these set, out in the water hunting of them. And you never noticed a little bit of a dip in the head.
That's right.
Man, unreal. My favorite duck too, Canvasback. That's
No
it.
question.
Which a lot of people. That's kind of cliche these days, but
That's as good as it gets.
it is. The king of the ducks, king of the decoys. Arguably some. I mean, he's a best fan, but
Yeah.
yeah. But he's up there. He's royalty.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
definitely
he's definitely royalty.
definitely royalty. Yep. I appreciate you coming.
Oh, man,
bringing it.
this
It was
is
an honor
great.
to hold it and see the decoy and have you all out and spend the afternoon with you, Robbie.
It's been.
Yep. We got a little taste of what it was like 120 years ago, I guess.
I wish we tasted every day.
That's it. Wouldn't that be nice?
No doubt.